Welcome to the lecture series on network and cyber security. So this is lecture number 13 from module number 2. So starting with the contents that we covered in the previous lecture. In previous lecture we discussed in detail about the MIME. We discussed about the different header fields that it supports. We discussed about 5 different headers are additionally added in the MIME which was not there in the previous formats. So these header fields that have been added provide the sufficient information about the content of the body of the mail. So it gives the description of the content that is being transmitted through the mail. So we discussed about the content types, MIME content types, where it standardizes the representation of the data. We discussed that MIME supports the multimedia information, multimedia content which was not there in the previous formats. So here we also discussed about some additional features supported by the MIME like multi-part alternative, digest. So these kind of additional features are provided in MIME. So we discussed how it works and how it transmits, what are the given format. We also discussed about the MIME transfer encoding, why it is important, what is the purpose of transfer encoding. So we discussed that transfer encoding is done to provide the reliable delivery across different platforms and environments. So we discussed what are the different transfer encodings supported in the MIME. We also look at the table for the different content types, what are the transfer encodings used in the MIME. So in today's lecture we will start with the SMIME functionality. What are the different functions supported in SMIME, and we also discuss about the cryptographic algorithms that are supported in the SMIME. What are the algorithms used for the encryption, what are the algorithms used for authentication, for digital signature. And we will also discuss about the SMIME message formation, how it is related to the MIME, how the SMIME and MIME are related. So the outcome of today's lecture is students will have the better understanding of the SMIME protocol, basically its functions and algorithms supported, and what are the contents type defined in this SMIME, and how it is related to MIME. Okay, so before going through these functionalities and algorithms, so first let's discuss about one important concept we should remember about this while discussing about the SMIME and MIME, and that is native and canonical form. So these native and canonical form are nothing but the formats that is used for the representation of the data. So in the native form, the body to be transmitted is created in the system's native format. The native character set may be used, and where appropriate, local and offline conventions are used as well. So depending on the architecture of the system, sender's system, the format is used for the representation of the data. The body may be a Unix style text file, or sun raster image, or a VMS indexed file, or audio data in a system dependent format stored only in memory, or anything else that corresponds to the local model for the representation of some form of information. So the native form supported by the system's architecture, like audio file, which depends on the type of filters, which depends on the underlying hardware and softwares used in that system, which we are using for the sending of the mail. So these representation depends on the architecture in the case of native forms, but this format may not be supportive in some other systems with a different architecture, with a different set of hardwares and softwares used in those systems. So sender is using the native form, but that may be not understandable by the receiver with a different architecture. So here it creates the problem. So we need a universal, a common format for the data representation. So we need the canonical form. So here in canonical form, the entire body including out of band information such as record length and possibly file attribute information is converted to a universal canonical form. The specific media type of the body as well as its associated attributes dictate the nature of the canonical form that is used. So here the canonical form is different for different message type, different media type, different content type. So depending on the content type, we are using the appropriate canonical form which is universally accepted, which is given by the standard organization maybe, and which is universally accepted, and only that format is used for the transmission of those kind of messages or those kind of contents through the mail. So the conversion to the proper canonical form may involve character set conversion, transformation of audio data, compression, or various other operations specific to the various media types. So depending on the type of media, we are going to use the specific operations. For example, there are some media types, some information types which may not require the compression, but in some media types we need the compression. So depending on the type of media, we are going to use the different operations. So if character set conversion is involved, however, care must be taken to understand the semantics of the media type, which may have strong implications for any character set conversion. So here first the sender system should understand the type of media that is being transmitted through the mail. So depending on the understanding, the system will select the appropriate canonical form. So first the thing is to understand the type of media, type of information that is being transmitted. So with this understanding, so we will start the discussion of SMIME functionality. What are the different functions supported in SMIME? So in terms of functions, this SMIME and the PGP, which we have discussed in the previous lectures, are very similar. Both have the same kind of capabilities like authentication only and confidentiality only services, and authentication and confidentiality both at a time simultaneously. So coming to the functions, the first function supported in SMIME is the enveloped data. So this function provides only the confidentiality, where the data to be transmitted is encrypted, and also the keys that are used for the encryption. So in the first one, in the enveloped data, the data to be transmitted, the content of the mail to be transmitting is encrypted, and also the encryption keys which we are going to use for the encryption is also encrypted. So the name enveloped data. So this is the confidentiality only service provided by the SMIME. The second one, the signed data. So this is the authentication only service. So when it comes to the authentication, we need to generate the digital signature. So a digital signature is formed by taking the message digest of the content to be signed and then encrypting that with the private key of the signer, of the sender. So first we are taking the message digest, that is the content of the mail, and then using that we are generating the digital signature and then encrypting that with the private key of the sender, signer. Then the whole thing is converted using the Radix 64 or base 64. But the thing is, the signed data can be viewed by the recipients who are having the SMIME capabilities. Only those recipients can view this message, can view this mail, can verify the signature. So that is about the second functionality. The third function, clear signed data. So this is again providing the authentication only service. So here a digital signature is formed. Again, a digital signature is formed using the content of the mail, but in this only the signature is converted using the base 64 encoding. In the previous one, Along with the signature, the message is also converted using the base64, but in the third one only the signature is converted using base64 encoding, so that anyone without SMIME capabilities can also view the message, but they cannot verify the signature of the mail. So that is the third one. Coming to the fourth one, signed and enveloped data. So this is equivalent to providing both confidentiality and authentication simultaneously. So as we already discussed in the PGP, so the way of providing this authentication and confidentiality service simultaneously, we have to follow the proper hierarchy. So first we have to provide the authentication and then confidentiality. So here, so first we sign the data which is to be transmitted and then encrypt the signed content, just like how we discussed in the PGP. So this is about the SMIME functionality, which is very much similar to the PGP. Now coming to the algorithms, cryptographic algorithms that are supported in the SMIME. So again, the algorithms used in SMIME are same as in the PGP. So SMIME uses terminology to specify the requirement level. So SMIME defines the level of requirement here in two levels, that is the must and should. If the requirement level is must, then the systems must have these specifications and these algorithms supported. If the requirement level is should, then it is recommended that they should have these specifications and algorithms supported, but in some particular circumstances with proper valid reasons, some specifications can be ignored. So that is the definition of should requirement level. So SMIME uses or supports three public key algorithms. And coming to the preferred algorithms by SMIME, so DSS is the preferred algorithm for digital signature. Digital signature standard DSS is the preferred algorithm for digital signature, and Diffie-Hellman is the preferred algorithm for encrypting the session keys. And whereas the hash function it is used to create the digital signature, but the specification requires the 160-bit SHA-1 SHA-1, but recommends that a receiver should support 128-bit MD5 also for backward compatibility. So SMIME uses another variant of Diffie-Hellman that also provides encryption and decryption, which is known as ALGAMAL, ELGAMAL, ALGAMAL. So RSA can also be used for both signatures and session key encryption. So these are all high level security algorithms supported in the SMIME. Okay. And in SMIME specifications, sender and receiver decides which content encryption to use. So here sender can make two decisions. Sender agent has two decisions to make. The first one, the sending agent must determine if the receiving agent is capable of decrypting using the given encryption algorithm. So the first one, the sender must know if the receiving agent is capable of decrypting it or not using a given encryption algorithm, whether the receiving agent is capable of supporting this encryption algorithm or not. So the sender is using this encryption algorithm for encryption, so whether the receiver is able to decrypt it using that same algorithm or not. So first the sender should determine this one. And the second one is if the receiving agent is only capable of accepting the weakly encrypted content, then the sender agent must decide if it is acceptable to him to send using the weak encryption algorithms. So if the receiver is unable to use the high security algorithms, and receiver is only capable of accepting the weakly encrypted contents, then the sender should decide, is it acceptable for him to send using the weak encryption algorithms. So the sender should decide these two. So all these has to be negotiated during the handshake procedure between sender and the receiver. So we discussed about the handshake procedure in the previous first module. So during the negotiation, they will exchange the list of algorithms that are being supported in their system. So in those negotiations, only the sender and receiver will decide which are the algorithms that they are going to use for the encryption purpose. So in that time, these must and should requirement level is decided. So what the sender should do? So here some rules are provided in the SMIME. Okay, these are the rules provided in the SMIME, and the rules are followed. The rules should be followed in the proper order, which is given here by the sender agent. The first rule: if the sending agent has a list of prepared decrypting capabilities, if the sender agent is having a list of preferred decrypting capabilities of the recipient, so recipient has already sent a list of decrypting or the encryption algorithms that the recipient can support to the sender side. So if the sender side is having that list, then it should choose the first capability of on the list that it is capable of using. So the second one, if the sending agent has no such list of capabilities, but the sender has received one or more messages from the receiver, then sender should use the same encryption algorithm as was used on the last signed and encrypted message sent by the recipient to the sender side. So the sender will use the same encryption algorithms and specifications that the message was having from the recipient to the sender. So third one, if the sending agent has no knowledge about the decryption capabilities and is willing to take the risk that the recipient may not be able to decrypt the message, then the sending agent should use the DDS algorithm for the encryption of the data. So if the sending agent has no any list sent by the receiver, he has no any messages previously received from the receiver, then what the sender should do? So the sender can use the high level security algorithm, that is DDS, and he can send the messages encrypting using this algorithm. So if he is willing to take the risk that recipient may not be able to decrypt this message, which is encrypted using the high level security algorithm DDS. But if the fourth step, if the sending agent has no any knowledge about the decryption algorithm and is not willing to take the risk that the recipient may not be able to decrypt the message, then the sender agent must use the RC2 algorithm of 40 bits, which is using 40 bits. So the third step and the fourth step is depending on the willing of the sender to take the risk, whether he's okay, is it okay for him that the recipient will not be able to decrypt it or not. So depending on that, he may use the high level security algorithm or weakly encryption algorithm. So these are the rules provided in the SMIME, and these are the functions defined in the SMIME. These are the algorithms that are defined. Create a message digest to be used in forming a digital signature, and for this the must algorithm is SHA-1. Create a message digest for the digital signature. SHA-1 is the must algorithm for the creation of the digital signature, and it should the receiver should support MD5 for backward compatibility. Encrypt a message digest to form a digital signature. So sending and receiving agents must support a DSS. Sending agents should support RSA encryption. Receiving agents should support verification of RSA signatures with key sizes. Here key sizes are also mentioned for some of the algorithms like RSA. So this is about the encryption of the message digest. So this is the encryption of the session key. So sending and receiver should support Diffie-Hellman for the encryption of only the session key. Sending and receiving agents must support RSA encryption with these keys. So encrypt message for transmission with a one-time session key. So both agents must support encryption with the triple DS, and sending agents should support encryption with AES, and sending agent should support encryption with RC240. Create a message authentication code, MAC code. Receiving agents must support hash MAC with SHA-1. Sending agents should support HMAC with SHA-1. So these are the must and should algorithms supportive to the sending and the receiving side, which is given by the SMIME itself. So coming to the SMIME messages. And one more thing in the previous one. If the sender wants to send a message to a multiple recipient and a common encryption algorithm cannot be used, then he should send two messages depending on the recipient supporting the different level of algorithms. If the sender wants to send a message to multiple recipients and a common encryption algorithm cannot be used, so there are some there is some one recipient who cannot support the high level high security level algorithms, and there is one recipient who supports high level security algorithms. So we have to create two messages with one with high security algorithm and one with low security algorithm according to the recipients. So that is one more thing. Coming to the SMIME messages. So SMIME uses number of new MIME content types defined in the MIME. So all of the new applications mentioned here uses the designation of PKCS. So this PKCS stands for Public Key Cryptography Standards. So this Public Key Cryptography Standards is a set of public key cryptographic specifications which are designed and published by the RSA Laboratories, which is started in the year 1990s. And as the name indicates, SMIME secures a MIME entity with a signature or encryption or both. So here MIME entity that we are calling here, so the MIME entity may be two things. First one, it may be an entire message except the RSA 5322 headers that we discussed in our previous classes. The second one, the MIME entity can be a multi-part. If it is a multi-part, then MIME entity is one or more of the subparts of the message. So the SMIME provides the security to this MIME entity. So SMIME provides the security to MIME entity which is prepared according to the normal rules of the MIME message preparation. So this MIME entity is prepared according to the normal rules of MIME message preparation. So here SMIME just adds some security related information such as algorithm identifier and certificates to the MIME entity to produce what is known as PKCS object. Then this PKCS object is treated as the message content, and to this MIME header are added or prepended. So what is happening here? So SMIME, how it is providing the security to the MIME? So SMIME adds security related information to the MIME entity. To produce the output is the SMIME is adding security related information to the MIME entity, and we call that as a PKCS. This PKCS object is treated as the message content, one whole message, and then to this MIME header is added. And every time the message to be sent is converted to the canonical form. Depending on the type of content, depending on the subtype, even the subtype of the content, the related appropriate canonical form is used for conversion. And even for the multi-part also, the appropriate canonical form is used for each sub-part. The multi-part type of content we already discussed in the previous lecture. So if that is the type of content, then appropriate canonical form is used for each subpart. And one more thing about the transfer encoding. As far as the transfer encoding is concerned, usually the security algorithms that are used or applied will produce an object that is partially or totally represented in the binary data. To that binary data, yes, MIME header is added, and then transfer encoding is performed on that completely. So the basically the normally used conversion is the base 64 or radix 64 conversion. So how the transfer encoding is performed? The security algorithms, any security algorithm that we are using in the SMIME usually produce the binary data. To this binary data we are adding the MIME header, and on that total message we are performing the transfer encoding, and the usual transfer encoding is base 64, the radix 64. So these are the different message types supported in the SMIME. So we will discuss okay, here we discussed that all the new application types use the designation PKCS. So here is the PKCS designation used in every type of application. So multi-part signed, a clear signed message in two parts, one in the message and other is the signature. Just now we discussed about this. And PKCS MIME, PKCS 7 MIME signed data, a signed SMIME entity. PKCS 7 MIME enveloped data. So this is nothing but the enveloped SMIME entity. Signed data, enveloped data, and this is signed data again. So these we already discussed in the functionality. So the same are used here, and here PKCS 7 MIME degenerative signed data, an entity containing only the public key certificates, are signed. And then PKCS 7 MIME compressed data, a compress MIME entity. So we are compressing here the content type of the signature subpart of a multi-part or signed message. So these are the different message types supported in the SMIME. So coming to the summary of today's lecture. In today's class we discussed about the SMIME functionalities in detail and the cryptographic algorithms supported in the MIME, and we also discussed about the messages, SMIME messages, and what are the contents type supported in SMIME, and how it is how the SMIME provides the security to the MIME. Okay, in next lecture we will continue with this SMIME, and in detail we will see what are the how the different content types are used in MIME. Thank you.